This morning, I want to let you know a couple things. First, every parent wants what's best for their child. It's true. As a parent, I want what's best for my kids. And similarly, I think that every parent probably wants their kid to be great. Dads in general want great kids because it is Father's Day today, and we honor the work that fathers do to make their kids great. And I've seen this kind of work all of the time in the Chinese church. I've been a youth pastor here at CBCGL now for over 6 years. And I can tell you how I've seen parents who want their kids to be great. Parents want their child to be great, meaning they usually want their child to be first. Dads want their kids to be first in their class. Moms, they also want great kids. They want their kids to be head of the class, the valedictorian, someone who does so well in their class that they get the last word, usually at graduation. Moms and dads generally want their son or daughter to be the one in charge, to be the one who's calling the shots, to be a leader in their field, because who wants their son or daughter to be like not a leader in their field? Just kind of, that's a peon, just someone who's a regular worker. Parents want their kids to be making the important decisions, to be the people with the respect or authority or power. Parents want their kids to be great. But kids desire greatness for themselves as well. This is seen in children as young as infants. Kids have this innate desire to be first. You see, when toddlers play, they usually play by themselves. But when they play with other kids, they have to have the best, or they have to have the biggest portion, or the toy that the other kid has. And the desire they also continue to show their desire to take the attention or to be first in the eyes of their parents or in the eyes of their teachers. Kids also show that they want to be great by bossing their friends around, or their siblings, or even trying to tell their parents what to do. And though admittedly some of this has to do with modeling. I mean, if kids hear their parents be like, you do this, you do that, then kids will be like, yeah, well, you do this, you do that, because they just expect it. But as kids grow up, they still desire to be great. Children hope to be firefighters or astronauts or Olympic medalists, all because of this desire to be great. And teenagers also want to be great, though perhaps in a different way. As teenagers navigate the changes that come with being a teenager, they desire to be noticed, or to be accepted for who they are, or to have others see them as a great person. Even teenagers want to be seen as great, or popular, or famous. In short, they desire recognition, which is why we see the explosion of YouTube sensations who are teenagers. They're desiring recognition. So this desire for greatness actually is not limited to simply fathers and mothers and kids. The United States also makes great boasts about being the greatest country in the world. In this environment, the jobs that we take seem to require that we are the greatest. Because given the job market, we know that the job market hasn't rebounded entirely since 2008, but the jobs that we take require us to be the greatest, or our product is the greatest. Because if not, we will quickly be replaced or fired, or have our jobs outsourced. Even American entertainment is centered around this pursuit of greatness, centered around being the best. Why else do we have the NBA Finals going on right now, or the Stanley Cup? The LA Kings just won it. Or the Super Bowl. Another thing, reality TV, we see in American entertainment, reality TV shows have exploded with people who are competing to be the greatest chef, like Can You Beat Bobby Flay? Or the best survivor? Or the greatest match for an eligible bachelor? Or the best voice in a singing competition? Or the one in America who has the best talent? All of it is centered around this pursuit of greatness. But with all of this pursuit of greatness, do we even know where we're aiming? I mean, let me ask you, what is it that makes a person great? What do you have to do to be great? Do you have to be first? Do you have to be in control? Do you have to be respected or trusted? Do you have to be indispensable? And who is it that defines greatness anyway? What greatness are you pursuing? What greatness are we pursuing? To answer these questions, if you haven't already, please open your Bibles to Matthew chapter 20. We'll be looking at verses 20 to 28. And this is a story that talks about greatness. It does. It talks about what greatness is and how to achieve greatness. The passage is a retelling of a conversation between a parent. Specifically, this is a mom. But it is between a mom and her sons and Jesus, and then with a conversation between the disciples and Jesus. And while this passage talks about moms, or talks about a mom, it applies equally to dads. Okay, so don't be thinking that, just because it's Father's Day, we're talking about moms. Well, this does apply to dads. As we go through this passage, we will see what this mom wants. We will see what Jesus answers, what the disciples want, what Jesus wants, and then finally what Jesus does. I know this may sound like a lot, but we will walk through it quickly. We'll look at each one of these areas in order to see that we actually need to change our definition of greatness, of what it means to be great. We need to change our definition. So look with me first at verses 20 to 21 to see what this mother and her sons request. Verse 20 and 21. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, that's before Jesus, she asked him for something. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Say that these 2 sons of mine are to sit, one at your right and the other at your left, in your kingdom." Did you notice, as we read that, how she asks? Do you notice how she asks? She asked this initial question. It says she asked him for something. She's kind of testing the waters just to see if Jesus is in the mood for a question. It's like, "Can I ask you something?" And then she kneels. You see that? She came before him kneeling. She's showing him respect, perhaps as a teacher. Maybe she even considers the fact that he's a king, based on her second question. We see that she asks that she expects him to come into his kingdom. So we know that in this passage, did you notice who is asking? We assume that it's the mother, but her sons are right there with her. I mean, the mother, James and John, are there with her sons. And this story, when it's recounted in the Gospel of Mark, doesn't include the mother at all. It just includes James and John. Not because the mom's not important, and not because she wasn't there, but because we see who's really doing the asking. We see that James and John are the ones asking, and they're asking through their parent. A number of commentators agree that this woman, the mother of James and John, is likely Salome, or Salome, or I don't know how you pronounce her name, but that's Mary's sister. In other words, commentators think that this is Jesus' aunt. So James and John, being the sons of Zebedee, somehow are using their connection to get what they want. But they had their own connections themselves. James and John were 2 of the 12 disciples. Not only were they 2 of the 12 disciples, they were 2 of the 3 disciples that Jesus brought into the inner circle. It was Peter, James, and John. When Jesus had special things to say, important tasks, anything like that, he would bring these 3 guys in and not necessarily the others, like when they went up on the Mount of Transfiguration. James and John were there. James and John had connections. But here, they're asking for something big. So they bring in the best. They bring in their parent. They just bring her in. And we see what this mom is like. We see that she has faith in Jesus. We see that in verse 21, she expects that Jesus will come into his kingdom. She says, "When you come into your kingdom, say that these 2 sons of mine are to sit at your right and your left in your kingdom," because it's going to happen. It seems that James and John must have told their mother what Jesus had said back in Matthew chapter 19, verse 28. If you look back a chapter, it's on the same page for me, but it says, Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, in the new world, or in the kingdom, when the Son of Man will sit on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." So so she trusted that Jesus was